Well, welcome to my studio, guys. This has been a long time coming. I've been wanting to do videos like this for years, and I've done videos like this kind of off and on here and there. I always say I'm gonna do this and do that. I'm gonna make a tutorial video. I'm gonna do a master class. I'm gonna do educational videos. I always say that, but then I drop the ball with it, and the work that actually pays me money gets in the way of doing the fun projects that I want to do. Even though I do have fun getting paid for the projects that I do. But there's a point in time where there are projects that I really, really want to do, and that is what this whole video is about. If you are still watching, then that more than likely means that you have some sort of affiliation or interest with me or my business, or you've known me, or you've been on my journey with me for the past 12 years. And I really appreciate that. But this video is really all about 2024, what 2024 entails for Ben's Productions, for me, and the direction that my business is going. So let's go ahead and dive right on into it. First things first, all good things must come to an end. And I know what you guys are thinking. I'm getting ready to say that I'm stepping away from weddings. I'm done with them. And that's not true. Don't worry. That's not going to happen right now. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I really, really enjoy filming weddings. And there's a stigma behind filming weddings, which is always really funny. You run into doctors and lawyers and pilots and people who make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and they're like, "What do you do for a living?" And I'm just like, "I film high-end luxury weddings." And they take a step back and they judge you for a second. They're like, "Oh, that's really cool. Like, is that what you do full time?" And they don't realize that, I mean, on a pay scale tier, I'm pretty much at the same level as them, but I get to have fun for a living, and I get to travel for a living, and I get to meet so many incredible people from every walk of life. And the beautiful part about this is that it's not just brides and grooms that I get to meet, or brides and brides, or grooms and grooms, whatever you're doing in 2024. I don't give a shit. It's not only that, but it's their families, it's their friends, it's other fellow vendors at the weddings that I've been able to coordinate with and talk to and get to know over these years. I can literally think back over the past 12 years and recount different vendors that I've worked with almost every single year for those 12 years, and how we've watched each other's businesses grow and boom and change and evolve. And it's the most incredible thing to actually be part of, but to also witness other people succeeding while you are also succeeding, but also judging yourself. And that's something that I personally struggle with a lot. People all the time talk about nowadays imposter syndrome. It's like a new vocabulary word pops up every single year, like a new buzzword. It's like imposter syndrome or this or that. And I don't feel like I have imposter syndrome. What I feel like is that I'm never good enough for the level that I've reached. Or even kind of taking it a little bit further, where I don't feel like I'm personally at where I should be. And I compare myself to others all the time. I compare myself to people who have been doing this for a year or 2 years. And I'm like, holy shit, how did they grow that fast? And even though I've been doing this now for 12 years, I still look at people that have only been doing this for a year or 2 years, and they've gotten quick success. And I'm just like, how the hell did they get successful that fast? And without taking into account my own, I guess, successes and stuff like that. Um, but let me go back to the whole pulling away from weddings and all that good stuff. So, like I said, I'm not pulling away from weddings. I'm not quitting weddings. I'm just kind of refocusing my focus on other areas. It's been a natural progression. Now, very first thing that I want to clarify, if you are a couple in 2024 or 2025, do not worry. I'm still your guy. I'm still going to be there on your wedding day. I just talked to a bride the other day. I met the groom very quickly. He was in and out. as most grooms are on the wedding day phone call. But I just talked to her and I let her know. I was like, hey, if you see a video come out in the next couple of days, don't worry, I'm still your guy. I'm not backing away from your wedding or anything like that. I'm not getting out of weddings. I'm just kind of reformatting my business. So let's get into that a little bit. Um, like I said, I started this whole journey 12 years ago. My wife, she bought me my first official DSLR camera, which I actually have right above you. You can't see it, but I still have it. It's in my office. It was our 1 year anniversary. She got that camera for me. It came with a little kit lens. It was a Canon T3i. And I went straight to town and I started filming anything and everything and building my business piece by piece. And I was strictly against going into debt. So when I started doing this business, I would go from, filming a, $100 music video and then buying a little piece of equipment and then filming a little real estate video or taking photos for, some little couple that I never knew or anything like that for $50, $20, $75 until it finally got to the point where my name got out there and people were like, oh yeah, that's the wedding guy. You need to hire him for your wedding. And a couple years after I officially started, that's when the weddings really blew up for me. And that was my main focus. That was my main kind of bread and butter where I was really known as the wedding guy. And it even got to the point, and this is actually really funny. I want to get him on the podcast one day just to talk about this. It actually got to the point where this was sometime back in 2016, 17. I'm sitting down at my dining room table and I get a phone call from this random person. Pick it up. I'm doing some editing work. I'm looking out the window, all that stuff. And he says, hey, I heard that you are the guy to go to for, videography stuff. I'm located in Greenville. And I just want you to follow me around with my friends, just doing stupid stuff and filming us do stupid stuff. And I was like, that's not really my thing. I wish you the best of luck. He was like, I mean, I have 1 million followers on YouTube. Are you sure? And I was like, yeah, it's just not my thing. I really do appreciate it though. Wish you all the best. That guy was Mr. Beast. And I still stand by my decision, even though I kick myself in the ass every now and then because of that. But I still stand by my decision that just wasn't my lane. The whole YouTube route wasn't my thing. Following people around and making those type of videos just wasn't my thing. But funny enough, 8 years later now, it's progressed into that, which is really cool. And it's just another evolution of what I've built with Ben's Productions. And it's gone from being the wedding guy to being the guy that you call on for commercial needs, to being the guy that, oh, if you need a promo video, go to him. And now it's kind of progressed more into like a content creation, social media route, which, I mean, if we really take a step back and look at where everything is at with content, with kind of doom scrolling, with TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, you name it, the progression makes sense. And even with the whole wedding filmmaking thing, I remember back when I would deliver a 5-minute video and like that was the thing. For the longest time, people were getting like their mom and dad's 30-minute ceremony boring video with the videographer that just stands in the corner, just videotaping everything with the big camera on his shoulders. And I remember when me and like 2 other people in Greenville were the only people that were doing the cinematic wedding films. And it caught on really quickly, and we kind of hit that wave with social media, especially Facebook. The algorithm back then was stupid easy. You could post a video and then some people would share it, and then by the end of the day, easily have 3,000, 4,000 views. Now you're lucky to get, 300-400 views just because the way the algorithms and all that stuff work now. I still really don't understand them. But I know I'm rambling on. I know I'm kind of riffing out here, but it's kind of bringing me back to the good old days of, the early years of my business and, seeing the people like Will Green, Will and Diana. They were one of the people here in Greenville with me doing the first like cinematic wedding film stuff here. Um, just looking back at that and seeing where they have come to now, like just the different styles that we all have, it's really fun to look back on and to watch people progress and all that. So, long story short, natural progression. How did I get from filming weddings and stuff like that to now, you know, traveling to New York City for a bell ringing at the New York Stock Exchange for the fifth largest private jet company in the United States? I'll be going down to the Keys soon to film a customer testimonial for them. I have a wedding coming up in Maryland that I mean, I still have no idea how people find me. I mean, thank God for social media, but I've filmed twice in New York. I've filmed in Florida multiple times. I've met Matt Mitchum at one time. He was Carnival's lead cruise director. Just because I brought my camera on the cruise ship and I wanted to make like a really cool travel video, I got in with him and the DJ up there and some of the actresses that were on the boat. Holding a camera has taken me to so many places that I can't even describe, and I can't even really like tell. I mean, you can't see it. Like right above my finger is a photo of a plane that I shot while I was hanging out of another plane at 4,000 feet off the coast of North Carolina. Um, and I've been able to do all this just because I hold a camera and I know how to press the buttons the right way. And I know, what aperture to choose if I want a certain look. I know what ISO to choose if I want, certain grain, or if I want a native ISO to make the sensor react the best way it possibly can. That's a whole bunch of like nerd camera talk for, I just know what to do with a camera. And that's afforded me all these opportunities to be able to travel and do all these things and go to Rome with my family. We went to Rome for the first time, which was absolutely insane. Got to take both my kids there. Just these experiences have been absolutely mind blowing just from holding a camera. Um, the progression, the way this whole thing has worked. Give me 1 second. Had to wet my whistle. So the progression, the whole thing, the whole like way that this has naturally progressed is I started out shooting just regular weddings, your regular everyday wedding. I mean, let's just call it low budget weddings. I mean, $750, $500, $1,000. Those are the type of weddings that I started off shooting. And then the more of those that I did, the higher the budgets got. And then once I got to the point where I was filming the really luxury high-end weddings, I mean, I've gotten to do celebrity weddings, Scotty McCreery, American Idol country singer. I'm not even a country fan, but the thing about that wedding, which was really fun, was I got to know his family through his sister with a previous video that we did. And then that just naturally progressed to shooting his and his wife's wedding video. And I remember listening to his entire brand new album on the way up to the mountains of North Carolina where the wedding was at, just in case I was asked, oh, well, what do you think about so-and-so song? That question was never asked, but it ended up like developing a new taste of music for me where I actually got to enjoy his style of music, even though it's really still not my thing. I got to enjoy it, which was really awesome. And I wouldn't have been able to get that opportunity if it wasn't for weddings. And then filming Jill Wagner's wedding from Hallmark. She was the girl that you would see on Wipeout when she would interview people. She was on Punk'd with Ashton Kutcher. Her husband was a former NHL hockey goalie. That was insane. Being able to do all of these types of weddings, traveling here to there. Once I got to that point where I was shooting the luxury weddings, then people that were in that more luxury space, like the parents and the brides and grooms themselves who own their own businesses or are executives for a company that they work for, they would come back to me 6 months to a year later just randomly and be like, hey, you remember what you did for our wedding? Do you think that you could do that with XYZ? And I'm like, yeah, of course I could do that. And I'm not going to say no. I'm going to blatantly lie to them and say, "Oh yeah, I've definitely done stuff like that before. Let's go ahead and try it out." Um, and that's how I got connected with, the Greenville Police Department, the Pitt County Sheriff's Office, and those things ended up leading to, me doing an interview with the founder of Golden Corral, which also ended up being the guy who donated the money to put his name on the building that both my kids were born in. Doing those type of videos to working with high-end jewelers, the Hearns. You are my favorite family in the entire world. And they, I shot both of their daughters' weddings, and they got me to start doing their commercial stuff just because they love the work that I did from the wedding side of things. So the natural progression of how that kind of transition from weddings to now what I'm doing with the whole commercial side of things is it's just kind of gone from one segment to the next. And it's not that I don't enjoy weddings anymore. It's just that I want to be more known than just the wedding guy. I want to be known more as the guy who produces high quality content, for the guy who, if you need your wedding filmed, if you want something to really remember it by, if you want more than just your cookie cutters, send it to an editor overseas. If you want something more than that, I want to be that guy. And then it also comes down to the business side of things. I want to be that guy that I know what content is going to make your customers more excited about what you offer. I want to be that guy that when your customers and your following sees a video that has come out from your company's social media page, I want them to immediately be like, whoa, that was really cool. I want to go ahead and dive more into this person. That's what I want to do. That's the progression that I have found myself in 2024. And it's taken me 12 years to get here. And it's definitely not been without its highs and its lows. There's been several highs, but there's also been several lows. We all 4 years ago went through a, it seemed like 2-year pandemic where the world was completely screwed up and everything was closed, and it was only big manufacturers and big business that mattered. The small businesses, no one cared about them. And you kind of still see that today with the way the economy is now. And it all comes back to, you know, people supporting local businesses and, other businesses supporting each other and being that, that piggyback to ask questions to and like, hey, did you go through this before? Yeah, I've been through this before. Here's how I handled it. Being that shoulder to lean on from one business owner to another business owner, or even a student. That's been the really cool thing about the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024 is that I've officially picked up my first intern. And I don't want to say she's my first intern. I've had some help over the years, which has been really cool, but that was really only wedding oriented. My intern, her name is Nikki. She's a student at East Carolina University, and the beautiful thing that I'm doing with Nikki right now is that I'm not just calling her up and saying, hey, I have a wedding on October 12th. Can you be there right before the ceremony? And then you can leave after the speeches. What I'm doing with her is I'm teaching her about the inner workings of my business. I'm showing her the client relationships. I'm letting her in on the phone calls so she can listen to how I close a deal with a client, or how I negotiate a deal, or how me and a client solve a problem together to where it benefits not only them, but it also benefits me as a small business owner. And that's been really rewarding to teach her. And my goal for 2024, and I'm going to put it out there, is to, by December, when she graduates, is to actually hire her on full time. And it's a really, as one of my clients say, it's a really lofty goal. But I know that with, pushing my head forward and keeping my thoughts on track and not getting down on myself and not listening to the people who doubt me and stuff like that, that I will be able to hire her come, December, come January, to where I can be able to start molding another me. And I feel like I'm really late to the game with that, but it's time that I start doing that so I can grow my small business even a little bit bigger, but still a small business that still has my touch on everything. Um, with all that being said, what's my future plans? I want to kind of get into that a little bit. The future plans for me really is continuing with aviation. I have fallen absolutely in love with aviation photography, aviation videography, telling the stories behind the people who work in aviation. And not just private aviation, because private aviation is the space that I'm in, but there's pilots in commercial aviation. There are mechanics and MRO employees in commercial aviation. Diving into those stories is incredible to me, and it still blows my mind. I don't care who you are. If you see a plane fly overhead at a couple hundred feet, you're going to stop, look, and you're going to say, holy shit, that was amazing. I get to see stuff like that every single week. I get to see Air Force One. It's technically not Air Force One since the president is not on it, but I get to see the Air Force One jets, do touch and goes, and I get to see these fighter jets do touch and goes and maneuvers and all kinds of crazy stuff. It is so much fun to watch. That aviation is just it's lit a new fire in me that weddings did 12 years ago. And that's where also a lot of the transition has kind of come into. Obviously, you guys see the studio that I have going on right now. I guess we can call it a studio. It's more of just my office that I completely renovated. I've developed a new habit, which my wife makes so much fun of me for. She calls me an old lady now. When I was designing my office, which I'm going to make some sort of like a DIY breakdown before after type of video of the office. But when I was designing this office, I still had my desk in the same spot, still had my computer where it's at, all that good stuff. But I wanted it to be, when I turn a camera on, I want an interesting background. I don't want just a beige, builder quality wall. So I ended up starting to go to antique stores like on the weekends. And I found out really quickly that I'm really into old stuff. And I'm also into really cheap stuff too. If you know me, you know that I am the cheapest bastard you will ever find. I will find a deal on something. If there's something that I'm looking for, I will 100% buy it used as long as it's in good condition, and I will pay bottom dollar for that thing. So that's pretty much how my office has come about. I mean, the lamps behind me, those two lamps I got for $30 at some random antique store from some old lady with a really thrifty old cash register. It was really awesome. It's a problem that I have. I probably have to go to therapy for it. But I'm getting through it, and we might end up starting a new channel based on just thrifting and going to antique stores alone. So podcasting, that's definitely going to be something that I'm going to continue. I've always done my podcast in person, but with this new setup, I definitely want to get into more virtual podcasts as well. It's not the same connection. It's not something that I necessarily would prefer over an in-person interview. But with the way that I have this whole thing set up now, it's definitely a possibility. So if you're interested, if you have listened now for the past 20 minutes, and if you want to actually sit down, talk with me, tell me your story, tell me about why you love what you do for a living, tell me why you got into what you do, what made you leave your former career, all that stuff. I want to hear about it. I have an interview this week with a client, past client, and she has such a heavy subject matter that I'm kind of nervous going into this podcast. But, I've interviewed her before, I've interviewed her colleagues before, and it's, like I said, a really heavy topic, but we're going to get through it, and we're also going to make it fun. That's the whole point behind my podcast. And I know I'm rambling, but, it's also my thing. I can ramble if I want to, but I want to go into why black tie optional. Where did that name come from, and why I've kept the name, and what does it mean, and stuff like that. So Give me 1 second. So with black tie optional, um, if you grew up with me, if you've known me for a while, you know I grew up skateboarding. I literally lived and breathed skateboarding from the time I was 13 years old all the way up until now. I don't do it as much as I used to at all. I mean, I used to be at the skate park for 16, 17 hours a day during the summer. As soon as school would let out, we would find some ride to drop us off at the skate park, or we would skate 2 miles downtown in Nashville, North Carolina, Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and not eat anything all day. We would find random water hoses and faucets to drink water out of. Like, that is how dedicated we were to this. And um growing up skateboarding, uh it's kind of a heavy subject, but there's a lot of drug abuse back then. I really don't know what the culture is now. I'm kind of removed from it, but I mean, back then, heavy drug use, partying all the time. I mean, it was fun. By all means, it was fun, but lost a lot of friends along the way due to just, you know, random drugs and overdoses and some suicides and mental health problems and incarcerations and stuff like that. Um, so the reason why the whole black tie optional thing comes about is that I am still that skateboarder and that grimy kid at heart. But somehow I have found myself in this luxury business, wedding, aviation, commercial space. I don't know how I got here. I mean, we can look at the track record, I guess, for 12 years. We can look at that, but I still don't understand how I went from, grimy little skater kid with super long hair, tattoos at 18 years old, to now, you know, just leaving New York City, getting invited to the bell ringing at the stock exchange with my metal name tag that says New York City Stock Exchange. It still blows my mind that I was able to go to that. Um, but that's where the whole podcast name comes from. And I want that to resonate with people that are in those situations or are growing up, that they kind of feel like, oh, my family never amounted to shit, so I'm never going to amount to shit either. And that's not true. You can always pull yourself out, the whole saying, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and all that. Sure, sure, you can do that if you want to. But at the same time, you don't need to just settle for the circumstances that you were dealt. You can make something of yourself even if you have been dealt shitty circumstances. And it really just comes down to believing in yourself and, trusting the community around you and having friends who really believe in you and trust you and want you to succeed. It's extremely important. That's pretty much what I'm trying to get at. Uh, so that's where the whole Black Tie Optional podcast name came from. Uh, the goal is to, like I said, continue doing those podcasts and grow the podcast. I don't know if it's going to make money. I don't know if it's going to be a Joe Rogan experience. That'd be awesome. I love Joe Rogan Experience, by the way. It's an amazing podcast. But, that's not the intention. The intention is just to let people tell their stories and give people a platform to tell their stories and tell about their business and what they offer to people. The next thing, tutorial videos and educational videos. I've said these multiple times in the past. If you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, one of the 339 people, there are old tutorial videos and stuff like that up there, but it was never consistent. One of the ideas that I have that I'm actually going to start doing next week is literally going through social media, going through different groups that I'm involved in, like private Facebook groups. And there's questions that are asked on these groups all the time. And something that I really, really hate is that people will ask a question and the answers that they get are just arrogant, assholes who have no idea what they're talking about, that just want to come off like they know everything. They're the best at this, they're the best at that. You're an idiot for asking this question. And it honestly shuts you down and makes you not want to ever ask a question up there again. So my goal is I want to go through these pages. I want to right on the spot say so and so asked blah 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 blah. Answer that question that was asked, and go ahead and make videos like this and put that clip, boom, right up there. That's my goal as far as the educational tutorial videos go. Doing breakdown videos, showing you guys how I shoot the inside of a private jet, how I shoot the exterior of a private jet. Answering questions from, I'm in bride groups, by the way, guys, answering questions from brides who are looking for a videographer but don't necessarily know exactly what to look for. Brides who have a budget of $1,000, they can't afford a $5,000 videographer. What are their options? I want to be able to extend my knowledge of 12 years in the wedding space to people who are just looking for general advice, general knowledge. I'm not a wedding planner. I'm not a caterer. I'm not a wedding coordinator. But damn it, I've been around it for 12 years, and I guarantee you I can answer any possible question regarding weddings that you can possibly come up with. Try me. Even wedding planners, go for it. I love you all, and you're all my friends, but go ahead, ask me a question. I guarantee you I will give you the same exact answer that you would provide to a client. So that's what I want to do on the educational side of things. Content creation for businesses. I'm going to give a quick shout out. My man, Dusty Todd. I filmed Dusty and Heather's wedding. So Heather Todd, Dusty Todd. I filmed their wedding, I want to say back in 2017. And that was my first, interaction with them, meeting them. And then a few years later, Heather's brother, Cole Thomason, he suggested to Dusty and his dad, Keith Thomason, hey, we should go ahead and hire Philip, the guy that filmed Heather's wedding. We should go ahead and hire him for this event that we have. They're big. They're an insurance brokerage, but their jobs now are teaching other insurance agents how to sell the product and how to actually make money and break generational curses and really inspire and motivate other people. It's a really fun organization to be involved with, and I'm really proud to call them a client. But being able to create content for them, it's been a journey with me and Dusty so far. Dusty was the first one to really pull the trigger on me with the content creation side, and he was just like, look, man, this is going to be an experiment for you. This is going to be an experiment for me. And we have figured out so far what works, what doesn't work, and what doesn't work, how to change it into what does work. So it's been a really cool experience. And now I have Keith on board as well. So now I have Dusty and Keith both with Plan Right. And me and Nikki, my intern, we are in the process of taking at least 3 more clients on this year. So if content creation is something that your business needs, and social media management, then I'm all for it. Let me know, and I'll be happy to talk with you about it, because that's a direction that I'm really leaning in towards. The editing is really fun. That's something that I'm really enjoying about it. And I was telling Nikki today, so Tuesdays and Thursdays, that's when Nikki comes over, and she stays with me for 4 hours on Tuesdays, 4 hours on Thursdays, and we kind of work together, and I kind of show her, my onboarding process of how to approach certain situations, how to approach certain problems. And if she's editing something, she can immediately ask me a question right then and there, and I'm able to answer it for her. But what I was getting at with that is I was telling her earlier that, if you were to show your professors, which are my old professors now, if you were to show them the videos that we are editing, like the social media videos where it's jump cuts, it's zooms, it's weird transitions, it's sound effects and this and that, they would probably just drop dead, roll over in their grave. They would hate it. But I told her that you have to know how to, you have to know the rules. We've all heard this before. You have to know the world. You have to know the rules before you can actually break the rules. And being able to, go and edit a film that is 24 frames a second. You're doing J cuts and L cuts, and you're color grading it. You're making sure that the darks and the lights aren't peaking over this and that, and then going to creating jump cuts and all this other crazy stuff that social media kind of demands nowadays. It's really an interesting and unique experience for both of us, but I feel like I'm getting the hang of it now, and it's a lot of fun. I just did a video with Dusty, which was a lot of fun, where I told him, I was like, look, I want to go ahead and get you on a golf course because we want to get some lifestyle content, but the lifestyle content also has to be educational. You have to be offering something to your viewers and your potential hires that are watching you. And my suggestion to him was, let's go on the golf course. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. And the beautiful thing about this is that when I was editing it, I go through the edit and I'm just like, what could I throw in here that's going to make it interesting, funny, humorous, things that are going to capture people's attention? And the very first thing was George Bush when he was talking about terrorism, and he was on the golf course, and he just finished up this whole spiel about, the whole world needs to be on the lookout for terrorism, and that's where the United States stands. Now, watch this drive. And that little bit right there was the funniest, most like candid thing in the world. So I ended his video with that. And it's just been a really fun creative process going through and editing these type of videos. So I'm really enjoying the content creation side of things. So again, if it's something that you're looking for, hit me up. I'm really excited to get more into this. That really sums it up for this video. That really sums it up for what I had in mind for this video, and really just what I want 2024 to be all about. I know I went into it a lot. Just to briefly recap, guys, I'm not getting out of weddings. I love weddings. I love telling the stories of weddings. I love it when, the father of the bride sees his daughter for the very first time on the wedding day. When the groom is watching his bride for the first time walk down the aisle, even if they just did a first look, all 200 eyes are still on him because they're looking at him like, oh, is he going to cry? What's his reaction going to be? That whole experience, and then being able to read the comments and read the text messages and the emails back from the clients, from the couples, from the parents, from family members that say, thank you so much for what you do. It's absolutely beautiful. There's no other decision. There's no other person that I would have chose. That is the stuff that really keeps me going. And same thing for the commercial side of things. Being able to tell people's story from a more personal sense on the commercial side, even though we're selling a product, but being able to kind of weave in that more personal touch, that emotion, and really being able to connect that person to person relationship. So that way the viewer knows that it's not just a grimy salesman behind it. There's actually a person behind there that genuinely wants you to invest in their product because they know that their product is going to make you happy and make your life better. That is why I love what I do. And I'm glad that for the past 12 years, I've been able to call this a career. I've been able to call this a job. I've been able to call this a dream job. And now I'm transitioning into the point where I get to call this mentorship. I get to call this, education for people who are wanting to learn more about what I get to do every single day for a living. I was never a photographer, by the way. Never was a photographer. And I have to give credit where it's due. Chad Winstead, it's 39 minutes now that I press record. If you happen to see this little bit right here, thank you so much for going with me on that shoot in Florida to go shoot airplanes, because I would have never found my photography style in aviation if it wasn't for checking out what you did for the very first time ever shooting aviation. Um, it's a really awesome experience being able to work with vendors like Chad and Beth, Will and Diane, Tiffany and Philip, uh, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I could literally go forever, but then I'm going to leave names out, and then people are going to get pissed off, and I don't want to deal with that. But thank you to all of you guys that have influenced me creatively in some way or pushed me and my business in some different way. I really, really appreciate that. And guys, with all that being said, let's go ahead and close this video out. This is going to be, something that I close all my videos out with for now on. I want to keep it consistent. So, if you've kept watching me, or excuse me, if you've kept watching this video to the end, thank you guys so much. You are the people and you are the reason why I continue to do this and the reason why I will continue to keep doing this. And this is what I'm going to end it with. This is what I'm going to end all my videos in 2024 with. Always remember, keep living your dreams. Don't pay attention to the people who doubt you, and always, always bet on yourself. With that being said, guys, until next time, cheers. And guys, real quick before I forget, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever you have to do in order to get this message out there. Black Tie Optional is available on everywhere you stream podcasts. That means Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. Everywhere you stream podcasts, you can find Black Tie Optional. My social media, my podcast is on Facebook, Instagram. I'm personally on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, you name it. Just type in Philip Benz and you should be able to find it. Philip Benz Productions, it's also everywhere. So Facebook, Instagram. My TikTok is Philip Benz Productions, I think. Look me up. Find me. That's kind of where all of my clips and all my reels live. And then LinkedIn, if you're in the business sector, if you're more in the corporate space, LinkedIn, you can find a lot of my more corporate-y stuff up there. I don't post weddings. I don't post, random clips and this and that up there. I really post more business content. A lot of it's aviation-based. A lot of it is aviation photography, stuff like that. So again, guys, thank you so much. Just don't forget, follow all those. And very lastly, I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. So if you could, look me up on YouTube. I'm going to find a better way to put that out there. Look me up on YouTube and hit that subscribe and go from there. Thank you, guys.